Alright, welcome once again to this prestigious episode still on mastering quadratic equations. So we've explored looking at how a quadratic equation appears, looking at how we can factor, of course, using the quadratic formula. So today now we are going to look at how we can graph a quadratic equation. So for us to be able to graph a quadratic equation, now there are certain aspects, indices we have to look for. We have to look for the x-intercepts, the vertex, and of course we have to look for the axis of symmetry. So without wasting much time, let's look at an example. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 equal 0. We have to graph it on a coordinate plane. So we have to do that on an xy plane. So we have our coordinate plane like this. We have our x and of course we have our y. So we have to graph it on a coordinate plane. But before that, like I said, we have to look for the vertex, intercept, and of course the axis of symmetry. The first thing for us to find the x-intercepts, let's factor the equation first. So factoring this equation, you will notice now that we have x plus 2 into x plus 3. Alright, factoring. So we have x plus 2 should be equal to 0, and that gives us x1 equal minus 2. And here we have x plus 3 equals 0, and that gives us x2 should be equal to negative 3. We have our x1 negative 2 and our x2 negative 3. Remember, we need to look for the y. So for the y, when x1 is negative 2, of course our y is 0. And when x2 is equal to negative 3, our y2 is 0. Nothing has been given. So to look for our vertex, so these are all the components we need to be able to solve to graph that equation. So I have minus b over 2a. We need to look for our vertex. These are very important components. Looking at our equation, our b is 5. So our vertex there will have minus our b is 5 all over 2a. Our a is 1. So our vertex 2 multiplied by 1 is 2. So our vertex x is equal to minus 5 over 2. We can keep our vertex minus 5 over 2. That's for x. Remember, this is our coordinate, our intercepts. Good. So we have to substitute this vertex into our original equation. Why are we substituting this vertex? The vertex, we have simply looked for the a part of the vertex, the x part, and we need to look for the y part of the vertex. That's why we are substituting the vertex into the original equation. Vertex negative 5 over 2. So doing that, substituting the original equation, we have negative 5 over 2 squared plus 5 into negative 5 over 2 plus 6. Looking for the y, we're going to have 25 over 4 So we have 25 over 4 minus 50 over 4 plus 24 over 4, and that gives us minus 1 over 4. So when you do the basic mathematical operations, you come down here, we have negative 1 over 4. So the y part of the vertex is negative 1 over 4. Alright. And step 4, we are to look for the axis of symmetry. Now the axis of symmetry is a vertical line passing through the vertex. So the vertex, like we said, the vertex x equal minus b over 2a. So this is where the vertical line passes. And looking at our equation, it's minus 5 over 2, the x part. So the axis of symmetry is simply negative 5 over 2. Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry equal negative 5 over 2. The vertical line passing through the vertex. Now we have our intercepts, negative 2, 0, negative 3, 0. Our vertex or vertices, negative 5 over 2, negative 1 over 4. And of course our axis. So to plot this, please, you have to pardon me, this is a plain board. We normally use the graph papers. So this is our x coordinates, and of course this is our y coordinate. Alright, we have some negative values, so my graph should be going up. We have negative values because of the negative values. So all right, now we have 0, we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, just for estimation. I told you I have a plain board, so my graph doesn't need to come exactly like that, but you can use a graph paper. That's where you have to do the best practice. So our first intercept, we take this, negative 2, 0. So the first is for the x coordinates and the second is for the y coordinate. So when x is negative 2, x on the x coordinate, this is negative 2, our y is 0. So negative 2 and our y is simply 0. So this is the first point. Next, our x is negative 3 and our y is still 0. Now, our vertex, negative 5 over 2. So it's for the x. So we have negative 5 over 2. So we have negative 5 over 2. That should be around minus 2.5. Alright, so minus 2.5 somewhere here. So somewhere here. That's not the point, remember, just showing you between negative 3 and 2. And we have, for the y, we have negative 1 over 4. 0.25, negative 0.25. Okay, so we have somewhere around here, so they will meet here. leave there. Our axis of symmetry. So we said our line of symmetry is where is that vertical line passing through the vertex x equal minus 5/2. So that vertical line passing through this vertex here like this. So this is where our points fall. This is a kind of a funny quadratic equation. So this is exactly where the line passes, and these our variable points. Focus is to remember that most of our values are negative and most of the y values are just 0. So that brings us to the plotting of our quadratic equation. So with all that said, that brings us to the end of how we can graph a quadratic equation. So you have to first of all look for the intercept, look for the x values, and when those x values, the y values will always be 0. Then you need to look for the vertex, and the vertex, and of course you substitute to look for the y coordinates into the original equation. And of course, lastly, we look for the axis of symmetry, and which is just the vertex. Thank you so much. I remain your boy, Prince Z. Much love and God bless.